All right, everyone, we should be live. So we'll start in a few minutes, but we've got like a range of topics to go through. So we're gonna let the music play for a few minutes as I hear my cat. Jump through the window. Had to just let him out quickly, because yeah, otherwise he would have been yelling at the door. His nemesis. Anything he can't get through is his nemesis. He hates doors. He will shout at the doors, etc. See if we can get some people in, then we'll go to talk about topics. Oh yeah, it's Saturday. It's a very nice Saturday here in England. Very rare. Well, it's not rare. We're really heading into the summer. Like, we're at the end of May. I think summer officially starts. Is it 21st of June or something like that? Can't remember the exact date, but yeah, it's lively. Oh yeah, what's it called? The Bundesliga's last day today, isn't it? I wonder if Dortmund actually did it. Wow, they couldn't do it. Dortmund, they lost. Wow, I can't. No. Bayern Munich win their 11th consecutive title. Damn. This would have been Royce's first chance to actually win the league title, and he just couldn't do it. That's awful, honestly. So bad. So bad. Right, Oliver Kahn's been sacked as well. Yeah, what a day. Lots of weird news stories that have come out over the last few days as well. Stuff about a certain former ITV presenter, among other things. See if we've got anyone. Too low. What, my audio is too low? Probably because I'm rambling to myself, to be honest. That could be the reason why. See. If I point the mic more at myself, that might help. How's that? I'm gonna turn off the music in a sec anyways. I'm just hoping we get some people. It is only 6:02 though, so feels like I've been waiting for ages. But once the music goes off, it should be fine. Trying to see if there's anything interesting I can bring you that would be breaking, but given it's a Saturday, not much happens. But yeah, aside from football, which happens on weekends, there's not much else we can really talk about. Oh god, some depressing news. But apparently there's some sort of border clash between Afghanistan and Iran. What the hell? That's something. Yeah. So yeah, worth keeping an eye on that maybe. But apparently this happens once in a while, so I don't know. But Afghanistan, some sort of beef with Iran. That's interesting enough. Let's see. For you, I have everything on maximum. The audio levels the audio level should be fine. There's not much more I can do from here, apart from like really upping the gain, which no one wants me to do that. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, the UK the e-gate stopped working. Unfortunately, I can still hear you. Ha 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 ha. Fact. Notice no one else laughed at your joke. There are almost double-digit people in this room, and no one laughed. Has the UK government signed a trade deal with Pakistan and Bangladesh? No, I don't think so. I don't think I've not heard of any trade deals with Pakistan and Bangladesh. I'm sure if the UK signed one with Bangladesh, someone would have told me about it and asked me about it. I just realised I'm showing my OBS screen, so that's very professional. Hello, Sock Juice. Twitter pulls out of voluntary EU disinformation code. That doesn't surprise. Twitter's a massive cesspit right now because the true fact that is true. Because they've messed up the algorithm loads. It's like I'm just seeing loads of weird stuff and things like I can't explain to you what the hell is going on over there, but they've done something to the algorithm. They made it really weird where, you know, like if you press like on something, it'll hit you with like a ton of content from that thing, and it's like, what? I wasn't even that interested in it though. So honestly, Twitter's just I don't even know. So there's my cat. He's returned and he's gonna go back outside because that's what he does. Because he's a cat. He's shouting about something. I think he wants me to open the door, but the window's open. So yeah, there he goes, live in the nature commentary. That is my room. I don't know what the hell's going on, man. I don't know. It should work. It might be because I schedule it early. It might be because I schedule it early. I don't know, but I don't know anyone else who has this problem. At least you can comment this week, Sock Juice. To be fair, hopefully there won't be any issues. But again, I don't know what the hell's going on with YouTube. Some days, like it's very weird. But I think we've got enough people, so we should be able to go through topics. Before anyone questions the amount of tabs, just don't. Okay, just don't. You don't understand how many I've got on my phone as well that I need to get through. Food inflation going from 19.1 to 19% is really bad for you guys. You know, that's a significant drop off. You know, that's a significant drop off. So I would say that you know, drop into 19% is big. I can't wait for people to spin that one as a success. I really can't. But anyways, we'll go to some questions. So due to Twitter issues and showing the true nature of the owner, Tesla dropped 90 place in trusted. Oh my god! These are all news stories I want to cover, man. That's why, and I save them on my computer in the hopes that I get through like the scripting and stuff like that. But this week's not been a good week for me writing. I've barely written anything, and so yeah. That's why I have so many tabs, because I'm not getting through anything, and I have some stuff that's like just old that I don't know whether just to cancel it or just it's worth covering. Like I've still got this one of Robo Sunak from like the 19th of May, which is, when was that? Like last week. I think I covered this on the stream last week, but I want to cover it just because I think it's a major problem for the Tories. But I might just axe it. But if I axe it, I won't get to play my favourite clip of all time. You know, my favourite clip of all time, like from politics, which is this.
That's exactly what he's doing. He is trying to change this country. He wants America to become more like the rest of the world. We don't want to be like the rest of the world. We want to be the United States of America. And when I'm elected president, this will become once again the single greatest nation in the history of the world, not the disaster Barack Obama has imposed upon us.
You see, everybody, I want the people at home to think about this. That's what Washington, D.C. does. The drive-by shot at the beginning with incorrect and incomplete information, and then the memorized 25-second speech that is exactly what his advisors gave him.
This is going to be Sunak's biggest problem, which is he defaults back to talking points. It is Little Mario, Little Marco. But yeah, that's Sunak's biggest problem, because he defaults back to talking points.
I firmly believe that that's what the country wants me to do. That's what the government is. All I'm doing every day is focus on delivering for people against those 5 priorities. I firmly believe that that's what the country wants me to do.
He was asked the question on how do you deal when you lose? How do you feel when you lose? And he reverts back to talking points. And this is the same. It's the same scene. Yeah, you should leave the jokes to someone funny like me. Fact. You know, I've got jokes. You don't have jokes. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Roisin unable to post again. I don't. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. I don't. I don't. It's incredibly frustrating. I don't know. Um, but yeah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it there. I'm pretty sure she can comment on normal videos. It's just a live stream. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the settings. I'm pretty sure I didn't change much in settings because everyone can comment. Good evening, all my. Right, that's a typo. I thought you were saying something else. That's a typo. Yeah. How's everyone? How's everyone? How's everyone's evening been? Yeah, I'm guessing that's a typo. I thought you said something else. Mr. Funny Man Raven, funny man, gonna make me be late to getting into topics. Yeah, Mr. Funny Man though, comedian. Ha ha ha. Must be that American humor I've heard so much about. The silver tongue that they have apparently. He did say something else. But yeah, point being is there's old stuff here that I need to clear out. I want to do something on Braverman, but I don't know whether the clock's kind of finished on Braverman or as in like the timescale to cover her stuff. So I might just axe those, and I want to do stuff on the cars. So yeah, Tesla only dropped 50 because they scored more points on trajectory and vision. It was like a Starmer joke. Yeah, and Starmer's really bad at jokes. I meant to say hope everyone as well. Yeah, I thought you said something else, man. I was taken aback by what I thought you had said, but no. I hope everyone is well. Yeah, I hope so as well. We've got people here, so we'll go into the questions and we'll go into some other stuff that I thought would be worth discussing. But yeah, so let's have a look. So, why do the UK? So this is from Verti. Why do the UK people think they live in a democracy when they obviously don't? From where did they get the silly idea? So, there is such a thing called a flawed democracy, and I would say the UK does live in a flawed democracy. So, flawed democracies are nations where elections are fair and free, and basic civil liberties are honoured. Well, I guess they're not really honoured anymore, but may have issues with media freedom infringement and minor suppression of political opposition in cities. Well, really a democracy at that point, but that's the yeah, that might fix it. Aki's. But point being is like, and I would say the UK is really a flawed democracy, just like America is a flawed democracy. But this definition of flawed democracy is one I do not accept. I don't accept that at all, honestly. Let's see. So why are Brexiteers plus rejoiners talking about Brexit has failed when it's still not done yet? How can something fail when the chaos? I mean, the problem is it's already failed, though, hasn't it? That's the problem. Like, yeah, things are going to get worse when the financial stuff and other things kick in. But you know, Brexit's already failed. When you look at the borders, when you look at all the travel chaos and everything, Brexit has fundamentally failed. So I think we can stick a fork in it now and say it's done. It's basically done. Like it's finished basically. That's all it is. Like the rest of the damage will be done in a few years, but for now, like I think we can fundamentally just say it's failed. Like it's over. Have you seen the Bojo interview at the airport? He said something on the lines of "I'm innocent," or I can't remember what he said, but I did see a bit of it. Yeah. Most democracies don't have front benches because executive and parliament and judicial branches are separated. So yeah, I'm just thinking most parliament democracies don't have front benches. Ministers. So I'm thinking in America the cabinet is decided by the executive, right? It's decided by Biden. In the case of America, like I don't think the front bench system's a bad thing. Having the executive choose the people, I don't think that's a bad system. But I think the main problem is first past the post. Honestly, first past the post is the fundamental issue. That's pretty much it. Like I'm not too fussed about you don't need to be elected to be in the cabinet. I mean that's true. In America, you don't have to be elected to be in the cabinet either. You just have to be cabinet. What's it called? I think the Senate just have to pass you. I think. Like Pete Buttigieg is he's in charge of like transport or something like that. No one picked him. No one elected him for that role. Man, you got to play the part. I see. You got to play that. Or the interview. If you want me to play it, I can have a look for it. Brexit was a success. It successfully showed the rest of the world what the Brits are all about. I mean, yeah, and it's not even over yet. All right, let me have a look for this one. Let's see if I can find it. Bear with me 1 second. This is why fact. You're meant to post stuff in the chat so I can get to it. So if you post it in the community section, I can get to it quicker, and it won't be me searching for stuff. Let's see. I think it's this. Let's see, is it this? As I add more tabs to my collection of tabs. Let's see. Is it this fact? Is this what you're talking about?
Mr. Johnson, you have form in terms of breaking the law on COVID. Have you broken it again?
No, and I've been here to talk about Ukraine. That's what I've been doing. And
why wouldn't you talk about COVID? You've been accused of breaking the law at Chequers and at Downing Street, did you?
No, but you're look.
He's not even looking at the dude interviewing him. It's bizarre.
If it's proved that you did, are you finished as a politician?
The answer is that, as I said before, there was absolutely no rule breaking, and
What proof do you have of that?
well, look, those who want to make allegations should make allegations, and so far nobody has. And
What is going on with Bro's hair as well? What is going on here?
you want my honest view? I think this whole thing is completely nonsensical. And look, I've got to check in for a flight now. This whole thing is a load of absolute nonsense. I think it was absurd that it was decided to pass entries in my diary to the police.
What do these entries say? What do these entries say?
They merely record events in my day.
Meeting friends at Chequers when you shouldn't have been.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And
This was published today. Crazy.
that will be demonstrated.
Well, what do they demonstrate?
And I've got nothing more to say. This whole thing is a load of nonsense
Why did he come back to continue the interview? He should have gone home.
from beginning to end. And we made that clear in the statements that I've issued. I think that it's ridiculous that elements in my diary should be cherry-picked and handed over to the police, to the Privileges Committee, without even anybody having the basic common sense to ask me what these entries referred to.
What do they refer to?
That's what the police are going to ask you, big man. The police should ask you about it.
There is absolutely nothing in those entries that constitutes rule breaking during COVID restrictions, okay?
Mingling with friends at Chequers
No,
when you shouldn't have been.
no, that is absolutely not what those diary entries show. That is not what those diary entries show, and the whole thing is totally nonsensical.
Who is trying to stitch you up, Mr. Johnson? Who do you think is trying to stitch you up?
You may well ask.
Who do you think is trying to stitch you up? Richie Sunak?
It's any.
See, look, his PR person's trying to drag him away, but his PR person's trying to drag him away, but he's just not listening. He can't help himself. He's addicted to the media.
I'm just. Let's go.
Who is trying to stitch you up, sir? Is it Richie Sunak?
Look, I think it's totally.
Yo, look, did body checked him?
Come on, where are you?
Did you see that? Someone just body checked him.
It's totally. Where are you? Come on, where are you?
About impeding us, sir.
Yeah.
I've asked you.
I think it's totally.
Look at that.
Where are you? Come on, where are you?
About impeding us, sir.
Yeah.
I've asked you.
It's okay. It's okay. He's from Sky News. He's entitled to ask me questions.
I guess that's the one fair thing you say about Johnson. He's not hiding in a fridge this time.
And I'm going to tell you, I just think it's totally nonsensical and bizarre that there are tens of thousands of entries in the Prime Ministerial Diary. I've never seen these things before because I haven't looked through it.
You haven't seen your own diary? What?
None of them constitute a breach of the rules during COVID. They weren't during lockdown. They were during other periods of the restrictions. None of them constitute a breach of the rules. None of them involve socialising. It is total nonsense, and I find it extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary, that these things are handed over by I don't know quite what authority, the Cabinet Office or whoever, to the Privileges Committee and to the police, without any attempt to establish what these things actually mean or what they refer to, with me. And I can assure you that, and I can assure the public that they're all completely innocent and within the rules. And, you know, you talk about a stitch-up,
You've spoken about stitch-up.
You
said you're being stitched. You said originally you were being stitched up by whom? Richie Sunak? I mean, there's talk of a skip fire.
For reasons.
I mean, he's not seeing this diary. He's saying everything he did was above board, but he's not seeing this diary. What, like, this is... Yeah, fact, thanks for this one. I'm definitely going to cover this one in an actual video, because this is a mess.
Reasons that somebody somewhere thinks it's sensible to do this. I don't. There's
talk of a skip fire in the Tory party. Would you encourage that? And do you see that as a potential comeback for you?
God damn, what the hell was that?
Mr. Johnson.
I felt like we just watched the Christopher Nolan movie and not one that made sense. God damn, that was wow. Dude is he's just gotten worse, hasn't he? He's gotten worse. What was in his diary? I'm trying to see if his hair got worse as we progress. But you know, him doing these interviews is mental as well. Like, you know, the journalist got body checked by someone, and you're thinking, like, you know, your team are trying to bail you out here. Your team are trying to rescue you, but you're just not listening to him. It's bizarre. Honestly, that was bizarre. I don't know what more to say about that one. Honestly, wow, that was crazy. Let's see. Recycling the same old excuses. He was checking in at the airport. Yeah, and he came back to finish the interview. How dare they give evidence to police? Exactly. He changed his hair. It was cut in the cut part of the video. Okay.
On COVID,
so that's what his hair looks like there.
He's entitled to ask me questions, and I'm going to tell you, talk about Ukraine.
Yeah, it does look like he changed his hair.
Why wouldn't you talk about COVID?
He's entitled to ask me questions. Ukraine, that's what I've been doing.
Maybe he just ran a comb through it. I don't know. That is weird. He did change it a bit, yeah. Let's see. He's recycling. Let's see. Change his hair. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Our ministerial diaries. I think unless you ask for something very specific, I don't think you'd be able to get a Freedom of Information Act on him. That was American security, possibly private, that body checked his the journalist. Yeah, that was weird. He didn't see the diary, didn't he write it? I mean, I think he one of his secretary maybe or something told you. Oh, you did, to be fair. You got facts but not jokes, I guess. But I'll bet that diary does have the events of Chequers. Yeah, definitely. You know, there was his sister, Rachel Johnson. She was saying, "Oh, when I went to Chequers, there was no rule break." And you're like, you just snitched on him. For what were you thinking? Ahoy. People like Bojo would have up to 5+ diaries. Okay. I think that was the most unsuccessful doorstop interview he has done. Yeah, that was bizarre. Honestly, that was crazy. He tried. Hi CJ. Stuck down the John maybe. Johnson is a mess. Yeah, he was, wasn't he? In the full interview, he was questioned outside the terminal. It runs for almost 10 minutes. Wow. Oh, buddy, can't stay more than 10 minutes. I'm happy to be here. I will get to your question, Sabine. I did see it. I don't know if I'll be able to get to it. I'll get to it now, actually. I'll get to it now since you're here. I think that'd make the most sense. Going to be his question is, why does Starmer keep saying he will renegotiate the trade and cooperation agreement when the European Committee met 2 days ago and made it clear the TCA will not be renegotiated? For those who are interested, the video of this meeting with the British representative, I can indicate where to find it. She does post a link, but when I will try and cover it, and I will leave that link. So I think it's up for review. I think the UK team will bring grievances, and it's up to, it's up to the EU if they want to renegotiate on specific parts after the review. Stuff like the cars, the exemption on car batteries. So I did read there was this article here that I need to get to at some point soon, which is EU car makers join call for delay to post-Brexit rules as pressure on UK car industry grows. So effectively, some of the EU car makers were saying they want the exemption extended on the batteries and things like that. So it's possible they can get some things like extended or negotiated or whatever, but for now at least it's up to the EU. Like the UK side can bring grievances to the EU and say, oh, we want to, after the review we want to get these parts changed or extended or whatever, but the EU can just say, no bro, see you chump, effectively. So I hope that answers your question. Watch this later. I hope that answers your question, or at least as best I can. Yeah, I got the link. Thank you. Much later, Ellie was saying, as to why Starmer keeps insisting, we can only guess. British exceptionalism, stupidity, as in not understanding treaties, deliberately lying in order to keep potential voters happy, hoping for a miracle. TBC, not sure what TBC is. I think it's this. I think it's lying to keep potential voters happy, and I think he's trying to differentiate the Tories by saying we will make Brexit work. In order to do that, you're going to have to explain how you're going to make Brexit work, and he's going to use the fact that there will be a review of the TCA as a means to kind of try and win votes during the election. And I'll talk about that a bit more later on in a different part of the video after we've done the questions. But Sabine, I hope that answers your question, and I don't think Ellie's here, but I hope that kind of partially answers what you put as well. As I go back through comments, think of a 5-year-old, then you'll understand Boris Johnson. I can tell you there are 5-year-olds more intelligent than him, because Starmer is a plonker. Don't disagree with that. Irish ministerial diaries are foyable, though personal entries, e.g. family, can be redacted. Ministers only publish their diaries and expenses, so FOI requests can be refused. So we can, expenses get published, I think, yearly in the UK, MPs' expenses. But I don't think you can FOIA someone's diary. I'm not 100% sure, unless you have something very specific. Yeah, the EU will renegotiate anything that is in the benefit of the EU. Westminster's job is to use that as a UK, in order to get successful negotiations, and that's why the car battery thing is one of the things that some EU car makers are looking at to get, and the UK will have to convince the EU it's in their interest as well to extend the exemption on the batteries. Electric cars not so eco-friendly. I mean, I think they're friendlier than petrol or diesel, so there's that. No need to shout out fact, not fiction. Yeah, he's doing enough shouting in the comments as is. But yeah, it's up to the EU ultimately. They're going to do what's in their interest, and if it's in their interest to renegotiate parts of the agreement, they're going to do it. If it's not in their interest, they ain't going to do it. That's how this is going to go down. Let's be honest. When you're the bigger trading partner, you can bully not even bully. Like, you have leverage. That's all it is. How many fish quotas when you give to France for EV car? Oh, that's a good question. But Brexit was one on fishing. That was one of the things that helped them win in 2019 and 2016. So I don't know. I don't know. Like, the problem is, like, if you give the French more access to fishing quotas, other countries are going to be like, we want something. Then the Germans might want something. The Italians, the Polish, the Hungarians, everyone else might want a piece if we're offering things to just France, for example. Evening all. You can argue that a Labour government should be easier to deal with and likely abide by their own rules. That is true. That is true, but the issue is that it's still got to be in the EU's interest. Is the problem you will see in the video? It's the EU retention bill. They said the UK diverges more and more from the EU. That will be a huge problem. Yes, it will be. At the moment, the UK are looking at getting rid of 600 EU laws and regulations. So yeah, I think the EU are waiting to see how it plays out. This TCA, the EU retention bill. That's what they're waiting on to see how it plays out, and I think that will be fundamental. So yeah, that's I agree with that. Everybody will want something. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree, but research beat everything. I mean, you're going to have to cite your sources, big man, at that point, Michael. But yeah, I think we can go on to the next question, which is from Viking. British, or if you're Scottish, English, I guess he's talking about English exceptionalism, is such that English exceptionalism is such that they even accept themselves from having to understand why the rest of the world sees them as exceptionists in the first place, or even that the word should apply to them at all. Instead, there's a read more. Got to click that. Instead, it is the rest of the world that is exceptionist in their view for failing to adopt exceptional British values. Without wishing to cause exceptional offence, do you reckon you're an exception to this chronic mental aberration? And if so, does that mean you are simply therefore an exceptional exceptionist? I think the problem is like the view that certain people get of England is based around like the politicians we have and some of the people you see on YouTube. The problem is that I don't think the politicians. I don't think that are that representative of the UK. I'll be honest, especially in the first past the post system we have. And the other thing is that I don't think the YouTubers are that representative of the UK either. So I think I'm not really that exceptional. Like my upbringing is very different to a lot of the other people in the YouTube space and these politicians. But at the same time, I grew up in a different period of time to them. A lot of these other people is they're Gen Xers. I'm a millennial. I'm at the tail end of being a millennial as well. So I don't think I'm exceptional, like an exceptional exceptionist or whatever nonsense. There's nothing special here. It's just where are your you're the one who made the claim. You have to offer sources, Michael. You're the one who made the claim that electrical cars aren't better for the environment. You have to cite sources. That's how it works. But yeah, Ellie is saying, educated guess, he has a migration background and probably sensible parents. Well, I'll tell you I had a sensible parent more than anything, but it might be down to the fact that my parents are Bangladeshi, I don't know, but in all honesty, it's just because I grew up in a different period of time and my upbringing was very different, I think, to a lot of other people. So that might be why my beliefs are the way they are. But I'm not. It's not a therapy session. I'm not going to go into the depths of why I am the way I am. It's not going to be one of those days. But yeah, Starmer does need more loaded questions. You can't keep running up and saying, what were the immigration figures? And he's like, the reason why he won't tell you is because of this. It's like, bro, like, you're boring. You put the whole audience to sleep in one question, honestly. I'm going to have a quick drink quickly. Just bear with me one moment. Sorry about that. Had to get a quick drink, and I didn't want my drink to be loud like last week because I was told you guys could hear it, which is unpleasant. But anyways, Robert Belton asks, why is an Irish passport worth more than an English passport? 101 reasons as to why English beer really sucks. Okay, I can answer the first question. I can't answer the second one. Just say it like it is. Us YouTubers are, man. I'm not gonna do that because it's not. It's to say I'm different to other people. Like some of these people are old. Some of them aren't. That's the thing. Originally you made the claim that they're not, Michael. Like, stop doing this. You said, let's see, what was your claim? I have to scroll up for ages. Can I find it? You said electro cars are not eco-friendly. You're the one who made the claim. You could say, yeah, I made a counterclaim, but the fact is, you're the one who claimed they're not eco-friendly. Daily Blase, a bit of old. Let me have a look quickly. He's derailed me. Electric cars. So this is from EDF. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but research has shown electric cars are better for the environment. You could argue EDF are not the best source because they produce electricity. Excuse me, sorry. Should need a minute. One study suggests CO2 emissions of electric cars are 59% higher than those production of ICE. So you're gonna have to, yeah. I'll have to look into properly, but from what I know, electric cars are better for the environment than petrol cars. Broadly speaking, most electric cars sold today tend to produce significantly fewer planet-warming emissions than most cars fueled with gasoline. That's from the New York Times. So, if you want to cite your source to counter that, then fine. If not, then I'll leave you alone. It's okay, lads. I'm here. The Irish NPC. Use the MIT study. In fact, if you DM me it, I'll try and bring it up. But yeah. Anyways, as I was trying to answer the question from Belton. Which is, what is an Irish passport worth more than an English passport? So I would say the Irish passport is worth more, mostly down to freedom of movement. So the English passport, or should I say the British passport, it's not trash. You know, it's still better. It's still better than a lot of other passports you'll get around the world. You know, there's a ranking system of passport power. And fundamentally, the UK still, I think, ranks okay on that list. I think America's number one. But I scrolled past it. Did I? Bear with me 1 second, sorry. See, I can see there's a thing from the government, Massachusetts. You sure I scrolled past it? I can't see anything from MIT. Massachusetts. Okay, yeah, here it is. Sorry. Let's see. Yes, although electric car batteries make them more carbon intensive to manufacture, they make up more for it by driving much cleaner under nearby conditions. So this is this is MIT. So these aren't a bunch of jobbers here. So if you want to go and argue with MIT, I suggest you go fight with MIT. I'm not going to go and fight MIT. I'll be honest. I've seen what the nerds from there can do. I ain't messing with those guys. So yeah, like I said, the UK passport is. It's like, for example, right, my cousin, he went to Bangladesh. He went to Cyprus, right, and he only had his Bangladeshi passport. Now, if I wanted to go to Cyprus, I wouldn't need a visa to do it. He needed a visa, and he had to show all sorts of documentation to go there. And it took him a couple of weeks to get it, right? I wouldn't have that problem. So ultimately, the UK passport is still okay. But an Irish passport is ultimately better because of things like freedom of movement. I think, based on a conversation I had with Sabine, I think it was a while ago, she was saying like French tourists can have access to other countries visa-free that are outside of the EU as well, which gives them a lot of passport power as well. So it just depends on the country you're from, but the Irish passport, it does give you, just like the English one, it gives you access to the common travel area. But ultimately, you know, the Irish one is better, I think, because it's got things like freedom of movement, which you can run through those e-gates real quick, and British people will be annoyed at you for that. So yeah, that's why I think they are better. On the beer question, I'm going to let the audience deal with that one. Let's have a look. Let's see. Can I do a poll? Gauge. Which one is it? Is it poll? Here we go. I will let the audience decide, and we'll come back to this. I'm assuming it's going to be Germany that wins this one. Who makes better beer? Germany. France. Germany. What was the question? Was it England? See results. No preference. Okay. I don't want to do. Ask community. All right, I'll put a poll up, so I'll let the people decide. So yeah, you guys can figure out in the poll, and I'll go back to that towards the end. But yeah, I hope that answers your question on why the Irish passport is better than the English one. Answer question 2 because it's English, not German. See. There you go. Brewed by Anglo-Saxons, undocumented immigrants from Germany who came over on boats. Shh, don't tell British people that they're mainly the descendants of Germans, the French, and the Scandinavians. The problem is that those undocumented immigrants unfortunately have no knowledge of one of the, if not the oldest food standard regulations, the German... That's a German word, I can't read that. On brewing beer, it was only established in 1516. Anyways, that's all of those questions done, I think. So we'll read some comments and we'll go to a couple of different things that I think are worth discussing. But I'm not sure if I discussed any of them last week. That's my only concern. When was this article published in LBC? Whoops. 18th of May. So that could be one we discussed last week. So I mean, I'm pretty far behind on the written stuff, anyways. But yeah, I did find some interesting stuff that's worth discussing today. So we'll discuss those in a moment. We've got nearly 30 people here, or we've got about 30 people here, which is great. So let's go back. Wasn't Andrex a villain in Doctor Who? I don't know, actually. It might be classic Doctor Who. I've not watched classic Doctor Who. Kulu, when you realise the truth, it would be too late. I'm from Slovenia. We use this system. I know how it works. You don't. Weird. Okay, I guess I'll have to be a bit more selective with comments. There are a lot of countries like New Zealand that are producing hydrogen for fuel cell vehicles. That would be the next technology. So could I ask your opinion on the DUP UDA saying that the result from the elections gives them a mandate to stay out of Stormont? I mean, it doesn't. Are you talking about the council elections? Are you talking about the ones in the Northern Ireland council elections? Let's see. Was it 2023? Let's see. Let's see. So you've got. Let's see. I'm not sure who falls into the other like who's in the. Let's see. People before profit. This is better. There's more parties in here. So if you look at it right, I don't see how they have a mandate for it. The UDA are not a political party. They're one of those. What? I think let me Google them quickly as well. Bear with me 1 second. Don't wanna mess this up. UDA. The Ulster Defence Association. Okay, so they're not a political party. They're a militia, I think. Okay. So anyways, they don't. If you look at this right, if you look at the numbers here, you can see look. Sinn Féin are on 30. Alliance 13. You've got the SDLP around. So you got 8.7, right? So if you look at the unionist parties, which are I believe the DUP, the UUP, and the TUV, right? They don't have the mandate to do that. If I bring out the old calculator because I suck at maths, let's have a look. So let's see what they've got here. I'm gonna just take the calculator off screen just because it's a bit easier for me to. 23.3 plus 10.9 plus who's the last one? 3.9. So I think altogether, the unionist parties, they've got about less than 40% of the vote. So the idea that they have a mandate to stay out of Stormont is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, that it doesn't make any sense. So that argument's pretty much is dead in the water. I'll be honest. That doesn't make sense. So hope that answers your question on that one. Production of hydrogen needs a lot of electricity. Don't do this, Blase. Not again. Not again. You believe MIT. You must have drank there. Oh no, I believe experts who have qualifications. Oh no. Let's see. 99% of car batteries are currently recyclable. Just ask Tesla, VW, and the 5 companies that recycle them. Green hydrogen in New Zealand is produced using geothermal energy in off-peak hours. Let's see. Beer is dreadful stuff. Raven, can you offer me some moral support here? I have the Canadian after me. I don't think Raven can save you. Belgian beer is the best. I'll take your word for it. If you look at your passport photo, you probably aren't well enough to. My passport photo is fine. Like, I miss the hairline I once had. I miss it so much. Let's see, evening. Let's see, loyalist vote overall was lower than the nationalist vote. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't have a mandate. They've got like less than 40% of the vote share overall. Like, to argue, Kevin, sorry, let me finish what I'm saying. To argue that the loyalists have a mandate is garbage. I didn't include Belgium because Belgium were not mentioned here. It's just England and Germany. Well, to be fair, Robert mentioned just English beer, but Ali mentioned German beer. So it's just those two. It's not. There's not a poll on beer, guys. It's not a poll on beer. Your computer has a built-in calculator. Yes, it does. I think all Windows computers do. I was being sarky about the UDA, calling them just because they refer to Sinn Féin. Oh, okay, fair enough. The Unionists don't want a Catholic Sinn Féin leader. You're not wrong. Let's see. The UDA is the Progressive Unionist Party, PUP. Their leader, Billy Hutchinson, lost his seat. Okay. Or they continue that role. Redacted. Who makes the bet? All right, let's leave the alcohol chat for another day. It's not for me. I wonder how that poll's going though. Let's have a look. How's the poll doing? Germany are winning. Germany are winning quite well. No preference in second, and England on 0. That's mental. No one has voted for England at all. All right. See you later. Fact. Hope the stream goes well as well. The leader of the DP made a statement today. They will go to Stormont. Oh, that's interesting. I'll get rid of that Canadian. He's not bothering me. But yeah, I did see some interesting talk today and yesterday. So this is an article I saw on Discord, which was quite interesting. So the EU rubbishes Starmer's big idea to improve Brexit. So Starmer running on the idea that make Brexit work and all of this stuff. So Starmer's main proposal to improve the Brexit deal, he wanted to secure a New Zealand-style veterinary agreement. So what New Zealand has is not alignment, it's equivalency. So basically, what they've done is the EU and the New Zealand have said, look, our rules are fairly similar. We can basically we don't have to do as many checks on each other's goods because we both have very high standards. So yeah, that's kind of how the New Zealand deal works. And originally that's what Lord Frost wanted. I call him Lord. It's habit now. The Iceman. That's what the Iceman wanted. He wanted a New Zealand style deal. The problem was, I imagine the EU did not want to give such a deal purely because, it'd be my speculation on this one, because they thought the UK would do deregulation later on and it would cause them headaches regarding an equivalency deal. So I think that's why the EU said you either go dynamic alignment or you go your own way. I think, anyways. That's my speculation. If anyone has a disagreement on that, that's fine. We can discuss that. Let's see. So Starmer had planned the agreement, the cornerstone of his pledge to overhaul the pact that Johnson had done, but the proposals looked dead in the water because of opposition from the European Commission, which wants to sign Britain up to the following rules instead. So government sources told the Telegraph, so this is the Tories saying this, that the UK negotiating team proposed such a deal in the most recent talks on the Northern Ireland Protocol. So this is interesting because that means they would have discussed this during the talks around the Windsor Framework. So during the Windsor Framework, this is what they discussed. Can we get a New Zealand-style deal? And the EU said no. Officials raised the idea in late September as a way of slashing checks on goods crossing the Irish Sea, but it was rejected by... The Telegraph calls them Eurocrats because this paper is run by 5-year-olds. Lord Frost, the Brexit negotiator, said the same proposals were turned down in 2020. Frost saying, quote, "I've always been clear that the only kind of food standards or veterinary agreement the EU will do with a near neighbour like the UK is one where we have to accept EU laws. That was never acceptable to the Boris Johnson government or to the British people who voted to take back control," end quote. And I'll leave the quote there for now, which is because, the idea that it wasn't acceptable for the British people is garbage. Absolute garbage, because, when they did Brexit, they originally said, we're going to stay in the single market and all of this stuff. So that's a nonsense point. He goes on to say, quote, "It really is depressing that Labour seem to have learnt nothing from the 7 years since the referendum." Excuse me. So it says, if they want to accept EU rules without a say in them, they should at least be honest about it. So effectively what it looks like Labour are going for is they want an alignment deal. An alignment deal is, like I said, when both sides say our rules are roughly pretty similar, we're happy to cut checks. So yeah, that's it. New Zealand has an SPS equivalence deal. Switzerland has SPS alignment. That's the difference. Therefore, less SPS checks on Swiss. Yes, there was a graphic I had when I originally covered this, which discussed the level of checks, but the problem is I can't find it anymore, which is frustrating because it was a really good graphic. Let's see. If you offer the DUP the First Minister post, they will go back to Stormont. Probably, but they can't just do that. I don't think they can just do that. Let's see. Okay, so carrying on. So it looks like the EU rejected the New Zealand style equivalency deal. So that's I think that's pretty much that. Rachel Reeves reiterated the pledge in March, arguing that a veterinary deal was a key to easing trade barriers with Europe. She said, to help our farming, fishing industries, we could make a veterinary agreement with the EU to reduce red tape. New Zealand has one, Britain doesn't. End quote. Brussels argued. This is where the article goes a bit weird for me, because you know what the EU apparently argued, and of course this from the Telegraph, so pinch of salt here, which is Brussels has argued that it cannot grant the same deal to the UK because doing so would present a big threat to the competitiveness of European farmers. It argues that Britain is a much larger and closer trading partner, meaning there is significant greater economic risk of importing more cheaply. Oh, actually, do you know what? It makes actually a lot of sense just looking at this. It makes a lot of sense, because an alignment deal isn't. An equivalency deal isn't the same as an alignment deal. So if the UK, despite having an alignment deal, can produce the goods cheaper, then that does put farms at a disadvantage. No, this does make sense. When I read it, I didn't think it did, but on second, oops, my chair's fine, guys. On second reading of this, it actually makes a lot of sense. So yeah. But fact is, like the EU set the minimum standards, and the UK, blah blah blah. The UK did have higher than those minimum standards in some areas for farming. So like getting a dynamic alignment deal wouldn't be a stupid thing to do. It's just because people don't get sovereignty. But the problem is, like I said, the EU set the minimum standards, and we're always free to go above those minimum standards. And in the case of agriculture, we did. So, the EU have instead repeatedly pushed Swiss-style deal. Switzerland copies and pastes EU food rules in return for full access to its market. Obviously, there's still a customs border there. Sefcovic even proposed that in 2020 the UK could sign up to such an agreement on a temporary basis, but the government rejected it. So Swiss-style deal was ruled out. That was ruled out by Starmer on the basis of freedom of movement. He says, I went to Switzerland and studied that model. I wouldn't do a Swiss-style model, he added. So Starmer's ruled out Switzerland entirely. He's also insisted he won't take us back into the single market, but he would insist to seek mini deals to ease trade barriers. And so this is possibly cakeism, for them to say we'll get mini deals, etc. But the EU don't want to go through the Switzerland type nightmare of trying to set up loads of like small deals. But the EU does have lots of bilateral deals with countries like the USA, for example. The difference being is that the USA is the big boss, so it makes sense you would get sort of bilateral deals from with the US because of their size, whereas the UK isn't like that. So this is an article I'm going to carve up soon and try and make a video on it. So this one I found really frustrating because this one's from January. It's from Andrew Marr, right? Writing for the New Statesman. And so what Marr said was, let's see if I go back to this one. Yeah, here it is. So he talks about Starmer and Reeves' answer is to the Brexit problems is to negotiate sector by sector and accept the need for dynamic alignment with EU standards. So you see the difference here. So in this piece, Labour have talked about getting a New Zealand style deal, equivalency. But in a different article in January, they're talking about alignment. That's the problem. And this lot are a mess because they don't know. They want to say if they said right. If they come out and said, look, we're gonna push for an equivalency deal with the EU, and the EU can say right now the EU are saying that's not going to happen, and if Starmer's team turns around and say, well, of course they're going to say that because it's a negotiation and blah blah blah, and once we get there, we will get an equivalency deal because it makes sense for both sides or whatever, right? If that's what Starmer argues, then I'd be like, cool, at least I can see some semblance of a plan here. But when you look at these two articles back to back, right, when you've got this one that was published yesterday, which talks about Labour pushing for an equivalency deal, and this article from January put Labour saying they're happy to go for an alignment deal. What are these people thinking? Like, honestly, this is the anti-protest bills all over again. This is nonsense, absolute nonsense, because they don't know what they're talking about. Because the problem is they have no set message. That's their biggest problem. They have no set message about what they want to do. So, you've got here, they're talking about alignment, right? So that's what Andrew Marr's talking about. And Andrew Marr goes on to say, quote, both sides understand, he's quoting a Labour source here. He goes, both sides understand the parameters, one frontbencher told me. Quote, if they say fine, so talking about the EU, but you have to have freedom of movement, they know we can't accept that. But they are talking seriously. We have no problem with dynamic alignment, end quote. So basically Labour are saying they will accept dynamic alignment. So the idea that they're using this as a negotiation tactic or whatever makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And it's incredibly stupid, because Labour already look very untrustworthy right now because they keep breaking campaign pledges. There was this one, and I can see why he's not pushing. He's sort of pulled back from the dynamic alignment stuff, because you've got the Telegraph saying, this is the route back to the EU. This is the backdoor route Labour are going to take us on. With them saying, quote, the Telegraph saying, I believe it's the Telegraph saying it. I need to see. Let's see. This is a Labour rejoiner saying this. A Labour MP tells the Telegraph, those 200 or so Labour MPs who met daily during Brexit votes seem to have abandoned even mentioning Brexit because we appear to be chasing those red wall seats. End quote. Those who helped negotiate the Brexit deal, or more formally the Trade and Cooperation Agreement, referred to Labour's baby steps towards rejoining. So it'd be about rejoining the EU. That's what they're talking about. One source involved in hammering out the deal said, quote, they haven't ruled out anything involving dynamic alignment or accepting the rulings of the European Court of Justice. They will argue that dynamic alignment, maintaining the same regulatory standards for goods and services, will help solve the Great Britain Northern Ireland checks. And the next stage from that is to soften the EU-UK checks. And before you know it, they'll say, we're accepting the rules and standards, we might as well just rejoin. And the ironic thing is this is something people like Phil argue about, saying this is the route back in. And so you've got Brexiteers saying you can't trust Labour because this is what they want to do. Even though we can't, rejoining the EU would be a very long and arduous process, to the point where I don't think the EU would take us back unless we go through massive, massive changes. And if you've got people talking about Labour won't do PR until potentially a second or third term, that means we're not going to get back into the EU for like 20 to 30 years. And, the idea, the EU are pragmatic and they don't want a failed state or Belarus on the border, all of this stuff, how do you think it's going to go? Do you think we're going to threaten the EU? Honestly, do you think we're going to threaten the EU into forcing them to give back our membership? I really that discussion with Phil was so ridiculous, because he's like, the EU don't want a Belarus on the border, so they're going to make moves to prevent it, and letting us back into the single market is one such move. Because I guarantee you this is what happened, right? The EU will pass new rules on anything, like agri-foods or whatever, right? And the UK are going to say, we don't want to accept those, we don't like them. And it's going to cause all sorts of problems. So this is just ridiculous. The arguments that some of these rejoiners and Brexiteers are using are the exact same, and it's just simply not within reality. It's just madness, absolutely madness. Yeah, alignment. The UK has no way of demonstrating standards anymore. I think that kind of deregulation bill, like Sabine was talking about, that's problematic right now. That's massively problematic. And I think that's the one that EU are keeping their eye on, because if they get that one passed, then it's going to take a while. It's going to take a couple of years for the UK to get back towards what the EU minimum standards are. That's gonna be a while. And given the fact that Labour keep arguing, we can't repeal the anti-protest bills because of the cost of living crisis. What do you think they're going to do about this stuff? Honestly. I'm just going to go back and just read some comments. The EU did offer Swiss-style SPS alignment in the context of easing problems in Northern Ireland, but the UK turned it down, probably off the table in the context of the Windsor Framework settlement. That is true. That's true. I agree with that. The problem is if we get dynamic alignment with the EU, the only person that really helps is the UK, because the UK checks on imports coming from the EU are very low. in terms of the physical inspections and all the other stuff, right? Most of the prohibitive stuff that is a trade barrier for the EU. Yeah, we still have customs and all that stuff, but it's far less stringent than the EU trade barrier with the UK, right? So the only one an alignment deal or an equivalency deal benefits really is the UK, because it helps our exports get into the EU. That's one of the major problems. I spent 20 years of my life working with unionists, and I still don't. No one understands unionists. I don't think they even understand unionists. Switzerland is renegotiating with the EU now, and it's difficult. Switzerland does not have complete access to the single market. Yeah, it's all through bilateral agreements. There's a customs barriers that there as well. That's difficult. But their checks are far lower than ours. And I think a lot of the goods go through fairly easily based on standards. It's literally just a customs barrier, I think. Starmer is playing 4D chess, we know. Scotland, England and Wales should align their standards to the Northern Irish ones. I think they do have some control over it, but not a ton. EU countries will have to collectively agree that it's an arduous project. It's only coincidence that Northern Ireland standards are the same as the EU ones. It's not a coincidence. It's Northern Ireland are in the EU single market for goods. That's why that's happening. Every country that trades with the EU has to accept some form of EU rules. That's true. A second term, okay, sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's jam tomorrow. My point. I say EU-Swiss ties are currently governed by a patchwork of agreements, and for more than a decade, discussions were ongoing to. They were trying to. Sefcovic, even recently, was trying to get all of those bilateral agreements into one big agreement, but the Swiss have said no, and so they're not going through that headache again. The legal framework governing the relationship, but the talks hit an impasse after the EU refused to budge on Swiss demands to exclude key issues relating to state aid, wage protection, and freedom of movement. This true to demonstrate alignment to Australian trade deal be difficult without I mean, the fact that we have trade deals with Australia, I think New Zealand does have sort of trade agreement with Australia as well, but the goods still coming in from the UK would still face checks even with a New Zealand deal, but it'll be far less than what we're seeing now. But I think there's a lot more trust with the New Zealand government because they haven't decided to mess around like the Tories have over the last decade and a bit. There's not a lot of cakeism going from the New Zealand government. I think that's the real difference there. But I just want to highlight this issue and of Labour again, kind of. I get if they want to say we're going to get an alignment deal with the EU, right? No, sorry, an equivalency deal. I'll keep melding those two up. That's my bad. If Labour say we're going to get an equivalency deal, and sure the EU are saying no now because of the fact that it's a negotiation and blah blah blah, then fine. If you wanna say you're playing the game, then play the game, but at least do it properly. Stop talking about we might go for alignment or we might get equivalency. You've got Starmer, you've got one Labour frontbencher saying we have no problem with dynamic alignment, right? And then you've got I think it's Starmer here talking about we're gonna get a New Zealand deal. The Labour leader said he would secure a New Zealand-style veterinary agreement with Brussels to ease border checks, right? These are two different things here, guys, as we've discussed and as Chatty Rat pointed out. These are fundamentally two very different things. And for Labour to say we're going to do one or the other just really doesn't make sense in my opinion. And like I said, if he wants to play the game, if he wants to say, we're going to get this deal and then end up with equivalency, for example, then sure, that's fine. So long as equivalency is there on the table. But once again, I think with the DUP going back in the Stormont, I don't think an equivalency deal will be on the table because that benefits the UK more, I think, in my opinion, than it benefits the EU. That's my opinion on it. If you disagree, then fine, but I think an equivalency deal benefits the UK way more than the EU. That's my opinion. For the island of Ireland to remain one single SPS zone, Northern Ireland SPS standards have to be fully aligned with those of Republic of Ireland. Otherwise, Northern Ireland's agriculture goes down the pan. Starting with the colour 45,000. It's the two are fundamentally linked together. Despite what unionists might tell you, like if there is any sort of trade barrier on the island of Ireland, forget the politics of it, the economics of it don't make sense. It will fundamentally destroy the agriculture sector in Northern Ireland, and there's a lot of farmers in Northern Ireland. So yes, we're probably going to end the stream as we sort of the end once we hit the 10-minute mark. So 7:10, I think, or 10 or wherever you are in the world. But yeah, are there any more questions you guys want to post? Like, every Friday you should see a community post like this, so just keep an eye out for that. I think if I put a picture up here, the YouTube algorithm will push it more for some reason. I don't know why. But if you ever have any questions for these live chats, just post them here, and it's a bit easier for me to get to them because I'll have a glance through them Saturday at some point, before the stream, so I can have a quick look at what I'm dealing with. So just make sure you check every Friday, and you should see this community post at some point during the day, probably about 6 p.m. I can always schedule them, to be honest. I can always schedule them, so they'll come out at a specific time. But honestly, your best bet is just posting a question here. I don't think there's a ton more to talk about. I'm just looking because I wanted to discuss the cars. I wanted to discuss Suella Braverman, but I might leave Braverman out. Like I said, I've got like a lot of writing and stuff I need to catch up on. See if there's anything interesting up here. Yeah, it's just stuff about Braverman that I might just nix it, to be honest, just because I've just taken too long to get to it. Are there any more questions? Okay, what would I prefer, a Labour win, or I'd prefer hung parliament? It depends. If it's a hung parliament where the Tories are the biggest pie, then I'd rather have a Labour majority. But if it's a hung parliament where the Lib Dems and Labour can form a coalition, I'll take that all day. I'll take that all day. That would get us PR, and that would be, we'd live in a better country, I think, overall. My only fear with PR is it allows more radical governments to come in. If the UKIP can get, or not UKIP, if Reform can get, between 10 and 15% in the polls, then it's a nightmare. Sorry, I almost cursed there. If we go to the polls quickly, sorry, I'm switching between dark and light modes, but that's the way it goes. If we have a look at the polls, obviously things would be different if we had PR, but you can see the Lib Dems on 11, Labour on 44. So if we had a PR system, they would be able to form a majority government if, say, for example, if this is how the votes go.
I won't let them tell me it's too late. That's just how I'm wired. I can feel it in my veins as it drains, cause I'm tired. Now I'm surrounded by flames. Every turn I take is fire. Guess I haven't really changed. It's probably why I'm uninspired. They tell me that I'm a liar, so I'll hold that in forever. Every day I live is dire.
Sorry about that. Was that loud? Oh, that's really loud. Sorry, yeah. It just started playing. That's my bad. So yeah, that's my bad. But yeah, let's have a look. Sorry, was the place to add questions on Twitter? No, it's not on Twitter. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. So yeah, this is the YouTube community section. So to find it, what you do is you'd click on my channel, you'd go to the community section, and you'd see all my posts. So this is where I put the mad written ramblings on YouTube. Sometimes I'll put them on Twitter as well, but that's where it is. Let's see. Could quadruple that number. The US is such a sorry state now that the House has gone Republican and they're trying to defund everything. Our hands are absolutely full. Yeah, it's crazy, honestly. It's absolutely crazy what's going on in America, but America's always been a basket case, I'll be honest. But it's just getting worse now. It's getting worse and worse. Final couple of questions, gang, if you've got any, and then we can call the stream in a couple of minutes. Missed out the hip. But yeah, I would want to see a coalition between the Lib Dems and Labour. I think my only fear is if the Lib Dems run as a kind of centre-left party as well, and I'm just like, there's so many of them now. Yeah, no worries, Versi. But yeah, we had a good showing today. Had a lot of people turn out. I really appreciate it. I've just got a lot of work I need to get through and just make sure I start doing it. You missed the live stream. You can always watch it back, honestly. You didn't miss too much, I think, beyond Boris Johnson being an absolute weirdo. So that's about it. I will cover that soon, actually. I need to make sure I've got it on my computer. No, I've got it saved up there. But yeah, if you guys haven't got any more questions, we can call it. But I'll take one more if people want me to do one more. Bozo was it was a very strange interview where his team were trying to pull him out of it, basically. But you know, we know Johnson. He's not that kind of guy, and he finished in the interview. But that was weird phrasing. I apologise for that. But yeah, he stayed in the interview. Very good stream. Enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks, Sock Juice. The second one, so there should be. I'll try and do these every Saturday, like I said. Right, it's Saturday or Sunday. It'll be one of the two. No doubt. It just depends on how like life goes, I guess. Let's see. English Beer got 100 bye back to the match. Who's playing? No way. England got 0 votes? No one voted for England. But yeah, I guess we'll call it a day here. Thanks everyone. It's been really good. Yeah, it's on 0. It's been a good stream. We got good numbers, so I appreciate it. The Lions, England aren't playing today. But yeah, it's been a good stream. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'll catch you hopefully next Saturday, 6 p.m. British summertime. Mark it in your calendar, your diary or whatever you use. Be careful about diaries because that's what got Boris Johnson done. But yeah, thanks everyone, and I'll see you guys on. I think Parliament's on recess. So maybe I'll do a Wednesday stream. I don't know, but I'll catch you a lot next week. Bye bye.